Welcome to the D&D Fitness Radio podcast, brought to you by your hosts, Don Saladino from New York City and Derek Hansen from Vancouver, Canada.
I was like, all right, what's this about? How you doing, bud?
Good. Just, trying to sort out the week and figure out where I go from here.
So are you guys like still on cloud nine about this whole Chiefs thing? I mean, what was your... first couple of days you're like, yay, and then now you're like, okay, well, what's next, right? So, and then, I fielded a few calls for texts and messages from people who are interested in doing stuff. So whatever, like, we'll figure it out. That's incredible. Are you still working with them?
Well, I mean, I did all their off-season stuff, and I was in touch with them during the season and stuff. So I don't know. Sometimes you look at these things and you're like, okay, this was 5 years of work with them, and then if they win something, like, do they go, okay, well, let's really do it, or do they go, we got it from here, right? You don't know. So we'll see.
You don't know, and that's. Yeah. I'm like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I understand on the other end how you always want to kind of up your game, but sometimes you can really. How many athletes have we seen in the past that imploded on?
Yeah,
Want like more rather than just sticking with what they have. I mean,
like, this is be the beginning of something, and and then the next year they've disappeared or they get injured or whatever. You don't know. So, I'm writing a whole article around, like, a comprehensive approach, a culture to, like, being fast and having an organizational sort of support around it, right? Like, that's what you got to do, whether you're Bill Belichick or we'll talk a bit about that, but an organization that has a philosophy and a culture, and this is how we do things, right? And I think that's what a lot of people miss. It's like, well, let's just get that player, or let's just hire that coach, and it's not that easy.
No, it's not that easy, and it really is. Like, I mean, I know some people roll their eyes to it, especially when you got an athlete as dominant as Mahomes, or as dominant as any championship team. I mean, any team that wins a championship, there's always, like, very rarely is it a team full of mediocre players. I'm not saying I haven't seen it done. I'll never forget the LA Dodgers. I think they beat the Oakland A's in 88 or 89. And I remember they had one at that time. I'll never forget hearing the stat. They had, I think, the worst batting average of any team ever to go into a World Series. Like, they just didn't have, they had Kirk Gibson, but he was, like, playing on one leg. And they had Oral Hershiser, but he was their pitcher. And then they were playing against Oakland that had, like, Canseco and McGuire and, like, all these, Dennis Eckersley and all these phenomenal players. And they ended up, winning. So once in a while, you'll see a team that just, from a chemistry standpoint, they just gel and they make it happen. But I don't think enough value is put on the things that go on behind closed doors. And this is the big question I'm asking you is, we've seen so many organizations, and one of the big downfalls of these organizations, you have a $50 million athlete or $100 million athlete, and suddenly they get injured. Why did they get injured? Was it a contact injury, or, were they running to first base and they blow a hamstring? Why did they blow that hamstring? Why wouldn't you invest? You're putting so much money in your investment. Protect your investment. Like, God, if I was the owner of an organization, I would go out there and find, like, who's the best strength coach, who's the best speed coach, who's the best physical therapist, who's the best team of surgeons. Like, you know what? Sure, I'll pay him X amount of bucks a year to be on the road with us, and just so we have a team of people that can work together. But a lot of these organizations are catching on, but not at the rate where I thought they would have.
No, it's there's still that tendency to, like, bring people in that and maybe you think they're the best, or I don't know, but it certainly is like, oh, I know that guy and I've worked with him and he's a friend of mine, so I'll bring him in. And you surround yourself with people that I guess you think you can trust, but are they the best? I don't know. Like,
well, I think part of it is that, like, I think playing the game is a big part of it. Like, I think as a GM, like you could take your chance on bringing a guy in that you may not know that supposedly is phenomenal, but then, are they going to play the game? Are they going to be able to communicate? Are they going to have good bedside manners? Or are they going to, be pissing all over the place and disrupting the environment? So I think that's what a lot of these guys are concerned with. I think a lot of the GMs and a lot of these organizations, in my opinion, they're just like, you know what, like this guy comes highly recommended. He's a great person. He's going to kiss a perfect amount of ass. And, like, let's focus on playing baseball, or let's focus on playing football.
Yeah. No, I get a lot of people asking me from teams like, oh, who would you recommend? And then I recommend a whole bunch of different people. Like I'll say, oh, this is, and then they're like, well, our head coach wants a guy who's going to be like a yeller and screamer and hype people up. Well, I don't really know a lot of those guys, right? And then, or, they have to have NFL experience. Well, there's a lot of good people who don't have NFL experience. So it's interesting how, when I suggest people, they'll try and counter with some reason why not to hire them. And it's like, okay, well, why'd you ask me? So it's I don't know. It's weird.
What does that matter? What does that matter, by the way? If you had the best collegiate coach and the best NFL coach, and you were to compare them, and someone was to say, well, he has NFL experience, what is that? I don't know. I mean, what is that?
I don't know either. I mean, the difference between college and the pros has always been, well, if you're a college, like say, let's take Nick Saban, who wasn't successful in the NFL. And well, he has a lot more control over who he recruits, right? He's not the GM, but he can recruit who he wants. And then he can make them do what he wants them to do. So he has more power over them. So whereas in the pros, you can't do that. You can't, put your thumb on somebody and say, this is what you're going to do. Because the pro athlete will like, screw you. I don't want to do that. So there's, I guess, a different.
Isn't that a problem? Is it? I mean, think about what you just said there. Like, I think any work.
I know.
Yeah, but any work environment, like I own my club here. Someone who owns a sandwich shop a block away. Someone who owns a hair salon. If your employee's being insubordinate, which basically that's what it means, they're failing to comply. They're not being subordinate with your rules and objectives. They get fired. I'm gonna fire someone who comes in here and doesn't do what I'm asking them to do. It's just, guys, it's not me having an ego. It's part of our agreement. That's our contractual agreement. That's us, saying, all right, this is what the job entails. So when you say you're not going to do that, you're fired from that position. Why has the NFL or the MLB? Why do they not have those same rules? Why does a coach come in? That doesn't make sense to me. Nick Saban is successful at one level, but he's not successful at the NFL level because he can't tell his athletes. Technically, it's his employees, really is. He's the manager of this organization. A manager in Abercrombie and Fitch is the boss of the people working for him. The coach, the manager of an organization, is the boss of. Why are the rules different?
I assume it has to do with this fact that talent is so valued in pro sports, for like, we have to have this guy, and maybe it's the legend around like, oh, you have to have a Michael Jordan, or you have to have a Derek Jeter, or you have like, there's so much value placed on these individuals to take you to a championship that, well, maybe you give them some leeway to not show up on time. I don't know, but obviously at the Patriots, they're a little more, like it's this way or you hit the highway, and they've been successful. So maybe there's some sort of problem in professional sports, and maybe it's part of it is the collective bargaining agreements and the unions, and I don't know. It's definitely different.
But they drafted Aaron Hernandez back in 2000 and what was it?
Yeah.
I mean, think about that too. I mean, that was almost
Antonio Brown. Yeah.
Yeah, no. I mean, but like you're watching that documentary. Like I watched that documentary recently, In the Mind of Aaron Hernandez, whatever the hell it was. Which is, I mean, it's holy shit. You know why it's a 3-part documentary? Because stuff just keeps coming out of left field, and you're like, this happened? Holy shit! I had no idea. But I mean, this is probably one of the most dominant tight ends in the league for the period of time that he played. Do you agree or disagree?
Oh yeah, if this didn't happen, I mean, he probably might have still been playing and they might have won more championships, right? You don't know. Like,
100%. But he got Gronkowski got drafted before him,
yep.
and the reason why he got drafted that late, but he still got drafted. Like it doesn't matter. It's whether he went in the 6th round or where the hell he went, the 4th round, or he went first pick. That organization still inherited those issues, and he still won a championship. And he came into the league, and in my opinion, it's like an unplaying field. It's like when you have your fantasy draft, and someone's able to pick someone up at an unfair spot, and they just have like an unfair advantage. Or like that's a bad example. My club hockey league a few years ago, this kid came into the league, and no one really knew his playing ability, and he got drafted like 5th round, and he ended up being like a Division I player. And they didn't even know it. So, like, here's a guy who went with, like, a lot of the scrubs, but should have went 1st round. And that team ended up winning the championship because they had a leg on everyone. I mean, you're looking at, you have Gronkowski on one side, you have Aaron Hernandez on the other side. He still got into the league. It's still like, regardless, teams saying, "Oh, well, we don't want to bring him." Like, would any team bring him in if they knew they were going to win a championship? Of course they would. I don't understand, because they contradict themselves, because like almost every organization drafts problems at times, and then or you're saying that the Patriots won't, they're tight niched, but they drafted him. Didn't they bring in Antonio Brown? Didn't they sign him?
Yeah, Josh Gordon, Antonio Brown, who both had baggage, right? And
So why are they doing it? Is there so much of an ego where they're saying to themselves, "Oh, we can fix him"?
I think so. I think that's it. Like, okay, they have problems. We can, hold them. Yeah, they can fit into our culture and the way we do things and discipline. But it didn't work out for them, for those 2 individuals. But yeah, it's I don't know. It's because even the Chiefs, Andy Reid is known as bringing guys in who may have had a bit of a checkered background, and then he's made them into better people, and obviously it worked out from a talent point of view. So
No, I understand that.
So I but certainly the Hernandez thing was interesting, because like I had never seen footage of him in high school, and like a big dude, like he just looked.
Did you watch
I watched the first episode of that. And so,
what were you like, holy shit? Were you like, were you shocked, or were you not?
Well, he was like an imposing guy, but then they showed pictures of him, I think, when he was in like a freshman or even a sophomore, and then I mean, by the time he was a senior, the guy looked like a full blown man, right? So
huge.
Yeah, and he was fast, and he could knock people over. So yeah, that's and then it was interesting, the whole thing about his father, and we had talked about this last episode. Like, I mean, how hard are you on your kids in terms of like making them grind and so that they will be good athletes and they'll be tough. And then you see this situation, you're like, wow, that's kind of a harsh upbringing, and maybe that brings it out in the kid, to be this amazing athlete or this very determined athlete. So that was interesting as well.
Yeah, he obviously had some major issues with his mother. He had major issues with his father. Didn't look like he went to a bad school. I mean, they claimed his school. I mean, it seemed like a good school, right? Or was it area of Connecticut? I went to school in Connecticut. And, I think it was a good area.
You turned out okay.
I was okay. But he became a Gator. I mean, he starts climbing this ladder right now, and then he wins the Super Bowl. Yet he still can't, avoid those issues, or he's not, like, you're a product of the environment that you surround yourself with. Like, look who he's hanging out with. Why at some point? Like, why at some point? Listen, why at some point you just not turn around and say, "Oh man, listen, I'm signing a $40 million deal, and guys like Tom Brady want to be around me, and why not just hang out with them?" Yeah, why are you hanging out with like the drug slinger? It just doesn't, like, whatever. I think there's just obviously something was wrong upstairs there, but yeah, you can blame the parents to an extent, and then they started blaming the concussion syndrome, and later on in the movie, I don't want to give the movie away, but they start looking at his brain. I mean, they were able to donate his brain to science, and they were able to kind of dissect what was going on, internally there. And what they were claiming was it wasn't right. And I'll leave it at that. I don't want to ruin the movie for you.
Do you find it interesting when you heard those conversations, the phone conversations, and he was talking about how he liked his cell and he liked being
scared?
Yeah.
And you just realize that, come on, man. Like, how do you just listen to him talk? What was the shocking part was when they said, I think the corrections officer said that they'd never seen someone adapt to that environment so quickly. And he walked in, he was like, "Oh, okay." Like, yeah, I went from a 7,500 square foot mansion to this, 20-foot cell, and I was just as comfortable, type of thing.
Yeah, that was that was really bizarre. So yeah, I just watched the one episode, and I'm like, because my wife watched it with me, and she didn't know who he was and all that, and I thought, well, okay, you want to watch this, and then she was like focused in on it, and like, oh my god.
Oh, so you guys are gonna finish it. It's not something where she's turning around saying, "I don't want to watch it anymore."
No, we gotta finish it. So
yeah, it's insane. But I mean, getting back to that topic now about talent, and like, how many guys out there do you think could have performed almost at that level or close to that level? Why are we putting up with? Why do these coaches put up with that? Why do these organizations put up with the fact that they're going to bring in people that are insubordinate, or why they can even take a chance on some athletes?
Yeah,
it's still an unfair playing field. Like, here you had 3 rounds of organizations that didn't take this guy, and then finally someone took him, and they ended up winning a Super Bowl. It was clearly because he was part of that team. It's not that he didn't contribute. It wasn't like he was sitting on the bench. Like, he caught a touchdown. He contributed to their win.
Yeah, are there other examples? Yeah, I mean, that's football, but are there other examples in baseball, basketball, hockey, where you've seen that they've taken somebody who might have been deemed questionable, and it turned out okay or worked out? I'm just
no.
Basically, it seems like it's a football thing, right?
It seems like it's a football and basketball thing for some reason. I mean, hockey, you don't really – hockey, no. I watched the Bob Probert story, and that was really – that was scary. You should watch that one. This is probably the Babe Ruth of all enforcers in hockey. And he was a goal scorer, too. I mean, he made the All-Star team one year. But they literally were talking about how vicious this guy was. And he ended up dying. I think he died on his boat of like a heart attack. I don't know, he was doing blow or something. He is something drug related, or if I'm getting that wrong, I apologize, but it was something to that effect. But
well, have you met? Okay, here's the question for you: have you met a pro athlete where, they were like the most vicious person on the field, and then you met them and they just seem like a regular, quiet, nice person?
Yeah, I have. I'm in Dominican Sue.
Yep. Oh yeah.
I think he's a perfect example. Like, the guy couldn't have been any more of a gentleman when I met him.
Yeah, I met when I was in LA one time. I met Marty McSorley.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, oh shit, Marty McSorley. And then he comes up, oh, how you doing? Like, oh, where are you from? I'm like, oh my god, this same dude.
Well, I mean, sometimes it's funny. I mean, I'm really good friends with this hockey player George Paros that now he handles all of I guess it's player safety in the NHL. And he was an enforcer. He won a cup with the Ducks. Remember seeing the guy fight, but he's a Princeton grad, super smart, very, very intelligent person. But it was his way to get in the league. And he was there it was a job. He was there to protect. I don't necessarily, my guess is he didn't like fighting. I mean, I would assume that from knowing him. I think he was very good at it. But, here's a guy, he's skating around the ice. He's probably 6'6" on skates. With equipment on, he's probably about 240. Fast, big, mustache, like not someone you'd fuck with in a bar, let's put it that way. And you get around him, and he's like one of the loveliest guys you're ever going to meet. I mean, he's an amazing person, great father, great husband. He's just like, it's like anything else. Like, this is you got to represent when you're there to do a job. McSorley or I was in Probert. I mean, the guy had some loose screws, but you see videos of, no, seriously, you see videos of him with his kids and his wife, and was there drinking involved? Yes. Was there drugs involved? Yes. They have their way of dealing with shit, but I think when they get on that field of battle and they got to perform and they got to do what they're hired to do, I think obviously it's like, all right, this is my job.
Yeah, there's a guy who played for the Raiders this year that was suspended. I think he played for the Bengals too. Perfect. And I think he was known for like giving people like hits, illegal hit. I think he was kicked out because he hit somebody on the head or something like that, and they ejected him. And I knew some people from I think he was from Arizona State, and they're like, yeah, he's the nicest guy. Like, you meet him, great dude, very personable, but on the field, he's like taking people's heads off. So, yeah.
I'm very rarely now. It's funny. You think about it. Like, how many complete assholes do you meet in a year? I mean, think about this. You bump into people on the subway, or they might nudge you, but maybe they're having a bad day, or they may send a terrible comment. But fortunately, I think the people that I'm around, I'm in my environment at my gym, or I'm traveling. I was with Ryan Reynolds down in Atlanta the other day, at Dwayne Johnson. Couldn't have been any sweeter. Couldn't have been any more, outgoing and polite, and we had a long conversation, and it's just I don't know. I just feel like to be successful in this world now, it takes a lot more than being just great at what you're there to do. I mean, people are just, but in the leagues, in specific leagues, they don't tolerate. They do tolerate it. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know.
Well, how about your like the actors that you come across? Are there people, you don't have to mention any names, but certainly are there people where you're like, oh my God, this person's a complete asshole? No,
but that's what I'm trying to say. I mean, listen, no, I mean, I've been in the business of working with a lot of these people I've been in the business for 21 years. I mean, 15 years I've been working with celebrities for. I mean, I could count on maybe one or two fingers when maybe an individual that turned me off in a specific situation. Never. And if it was, I don't work with them anymore. So
maybe you just bring the best out in people, Don.
I don't know. You know what also I think it is too? It's like, you're an environment, when you show up to these organizations, people need something from you, and they want something from you. And I think I'm always curious to see how someone treats another individual that, that, what's the word I'm looking for? This isn't going to sound terrible, but there isn't any importance to that relationship.
Yeah.
Like, are they going to hold the door open for someone? Are they going to let, are they like, what are they doing? How are you dealing with the situation when things go bad? It's so easy to be nice when everything's good around you. I think someone's true colors really starts coming out when you see how they handle those tough situations.
Yeah, no, it's, yeah, you're right. It is tough. It is tough because when you're on level ground with somebody, they're going to respect you and give you, the time and effort, but that doesn't necessarily always happen. So.
What about with you? What about with, I mean, you've worked primarily with runners. You worked with some really fast. Who's the fastest person you've ever worked with? I'm curious.
Oh, I guess it was like Tim Montgomery, ran 9.79. So,
Wow.
and a really nice person too, right? Really easy to get along with, very affable. And so I don't know. I mean, yeah. Everybody's different. Like, I always wonder, like, what's the difference between working with an individual athlete versus a team athlete? And then even with my kids, I think they really they do well in both, but I think they really like having that team atmosphere around them. And that kind of brings out the best in them, and they value that team experience, where something like track, it's very individual. And I was talking to one of our friends, his son plays golf, and he says, golf, he was going to push him to go to a big university. And then I think they kind of pulled back a bit because he just said, look, it's a very solitary thing a lot of the time. Like, you got to spend a lot of time out there hitting balls and all that. And so I don't know. What did you think about the golf thing? Like, in terms of the types of personalities you have to be?
I think it's tough. I mean, I remember my brother went down on the mini tours for like a year. He played golf at St. John's. It's funny. He was getting recruited to play at some school in Florida, and then kind of pulled the last minute switch because there was a coach his name was Frank Darby, that Joey really liked and he wanted to play with. So he played for us. So he went to St. John's. He played with this team, and they had some incredible players who came through that school. I remember my brother helped recruit Keegan Bradley, who at the time is how I started working with him. There was this other kid, Andrew Svoboda. I think my brother's freshman year in college or sophomore year in college, I think like 3 of the St. John's players made the U.S. Amateur in Pebble Beach. That was in '99. So some legitimate players. But, yeah, it takes a specific individual. I mean, I don't – there's certain things that I can kind of get in the groove with and just, like, time gets erased. Like, you don't really know – like, all right, I could spend hours doing this. My brother was the type of person that could stand in a sand trap for 8 hours and just hit bubble outs, different lies and different degree wedges and just different situations. And if you think about it, there are literally, like, if you're in a short game area, you can create, like, hundreds of different atmospheres that you can envision yourself in. You can start practicing it. He would just get out there and he would just start hitting shots. And I think that's why, I think to be a great golfer, very rarely it's someone who's like, oh, I'm going to, I want to be a pro golfer. Let me, like a workout, let me practice an hour a day. I mean, to be good at this game, you need to put in, not hours a day, but like you legitimately have to treat it like a job. All you're doing is hitting shots and over and over and over and over. And guess what? You're doing that on the range. That's great. That's like player A. Now you got to become player B on the course because that gets all thrown out. Could be a driving range 0, meaning handicap wise, and just never miss a shot. And then you go on the course and you just tighten up. And I see it here too. I see a lot of our members, they practice, and they get down to a scratch or a +1, and they're able to go out and shoot 68, 69, 70. But the second they go into tournament golf, not even close. It's not even close. It's not like sprinting where maybe it's a bad example, but obviously nerves are involved, but if you're, the fastest person in the world, you're going to go out on a track and you're going to be the fastest person, in my opinion. I mean, if you're the best ball striker in the world and you can hit every club in the bag better than anyone on the planet, let's just say there was a way to determine that, I don't know if you're going to win on tour. I don't even know if you're going to make the tour. It's a completely different environment. So that, for me, is the interesting thing about golf. So that was someone like my brother had the ability to get into a tournament situation. He would just become a better player. Because I think mentally he was just able to gear and he was able to kind of get his heart rate to just kind of slow down. And you just always walk around. Even his personality, you look at him, he's very, like, stoic all the time. He's just this – I do think it's a specific type of personality. You don't see a lot of golfers out there. Yeah, Tiger, when he hits a putt, he's screaming, or Rory, like, once in a while showing some emotion. But these guys go out there and they're very – takes a personality.
Do they all get along with each other? Like, do they isolate themselves? Is it sort of like, do they talk?
I mean, I think for the most part, a lot of them are very friendly. I mean, I've walked around the driving ranges at U.S. Opens or the Masters. I got to go travel with a player for the Masters and get player credentials where I'm behind the ropes and I'm able to see kind of everyone. And everyone, for the most part, everyone's friendly. I mean, you'll hear from certain players that they may not like this guy, or he plays too slow, or he's obnoxious, or this and that. But I think all in all, I think there's a mutual respect that most of them have for each other. And, they're all the ones I've met, they're pretty friendly.
Here's a question I had for you. Again, watching the Aaron Hernandez thing.
Yeah.
Do you have athletes that you've worked with, or even people in the entertainment industry? Do they have like sports psychologists or mental trainers or anything that they've worked with where you're like, okay, that really helped them? Or
some of them do. Surprisingly, they're not as easy to find. They're really not. I mean, especially in golf. I can't tell you how many young junior golfers I've had dads call me up and be like, he needs a mental coach. And I'm like, all right, well, try this guy or try that guy. And they're not.
You have some go-to people, or?
There was one person that my brother worked with for years, and he retired. So to answer your question, there's a few guys that I know of, but I don't have that type of relationship. But yeah, to answer your question, it's scarce. There's not many of them out there as I would, and I think that's something that at that level, it's a must.
Yeah.
It's a must. It's like when someone, if I'm talking to Ryan Reynolds and he's talking about traveling, Ryan can do a lot of his training on his own. He's very self-sufficient. But the thing I always tell him, I'm like, man, if you ever had to choose between me and a chef, I would joke around with him. Choose the chef. No, I'm not kidding. You got to, if he had an opportunity, let's say this. Let's say he started in Hollywood and he had no money. Let's just speaking theoretically. And he had no money and a production company was like, this is your budget. And it's X amount of bucks a day. And he's like, all right, Donnie, I want to bring you, blah, blah, blah. I'd be like, listen, man, your training has been great. You follow everything I'm telling you to do. I really think with your schedule, you should invest in nutrition. And you should have someone preparing your meals. Because I think that's the remaining 23 hours of the day or whatever you want to call it for whatever time he's up during the day. But you get what I'm saying. I know the training's the easy part. Do the program. You know how to execute the exercises. That's my job. I was with him in Atlanta last week. I'm going through all this stuff with him. He knows what he's doing, but then we call audibles, and I'm like, listen, you know what? Let's try this. No, you know what? This area's been feeling tight on you. I think we should open up using this drill. I really like this drill for your hips right now. And, it's a reminder that, yes, we need to still be jumping in with each other. That's true. That's true.
Does he have a chef that does travel and do that stuff?
I think it depends on the movie. I mean, it's not like I said, he's very self-sufficient. So I think sometimes
okay.
We'll have people around that's able to prepare meals, and it's very fairly priced, and they're really great. Actually, the one woman that I was with over the weekend, she's terrific. She owns a company called Hakuna Foods, and fabulous cook. Really was really into where foods are being sourced, which I obviously love, and I know, like, I was able to eat her food for a couple of days, and I know just like waking up and opening the fridge and seeing something there waiting for you, wow, like you just have to pop the top off and mix it up. Or lunchtime, she's showing up handing you something, you're like, wow, this is really a nice luxury. I would take that over the private jet in a second.
Now you would know better than me, but I had heard at one point, like, Bruce Willis had an entourage of people that would do those things, like help him work out, help a chef and all that.
Yeah.
Is that common?
I mean, I think with maybe some from specific people that just are the individuals that I work with now.
Yeah.
None of them are like that. None of them needed an entourage. That's probably why I get along with them so well. None of them need an entourage, and they're all very self-sufficient, and they're all, very thoughtful of people's schedule, almost too much to the point where I'm like, no, dude, I want to be here. Do you think like, it was interesting when I was in Toronto, ran in, we crossed paths with the Washington Wizards, and I was a little surprised by how many entourage people were around the team. But do you think that some of these maybe celebrities have these people around just even for social reasons, like even though they have the chef and the trainer, like it's just I think so. I mean, when I was I was at the Olympia and Mark Wahlberg showed up, and I couldn't believe. Literally, it's like the show Entourage. He's walking around with like 10 guys walking behind him. I'm more shocked. I understand, like I can understand someone like that wants to be around people that he's really comfortable with or she's really comfortable with. I'm just more shocked for those individuals that, like, they can travel all the time, and unless they're one's his manager or one handles this or handles that. But I don't know. Come on, man. 7 guys, 8 guys, 9 guys. Like,
are they all on the payroll?
I don't know. I would assume yes.
Yeah.
But I don't care what the amount of money is. Like, I want to go after my own things. I want to do my own career. I want to have my own dreams. To each his own. God bless you. If someone's going to pay you and you're going to follow someone around, that's fine. It's just not really how I want to live my life.
There was.
Would you be on the road? No freaking way. You want to?
No. Well, I've done. Sometimes between you and me and the audience, I guess.
In the audience.
But sometimes I feel like I'm just around there to kind of provide moral support, because the workouts are very, like you said, like they could do it themselves. Right?
Yeah, but there's a level of accountability. It's comforting. Is it a luxury? Sure, it's a luxury, but I think at a certain point in your life, you got to be comfortable. You got to give yourself a couple hours a day or an hour a day or whatever it is to bring you to a place where you feel safe and happy. And I think that's what you supply to people. Or that's what I'll supply to people. I think, and listen, anyone can do the work. Anybody, you could bring anyone in right now. You could show them how to do a routine and they can execute it. It's just, there's a lot of other things that the job entails that that sometimes could be more important than the workout.
Yeah, I watched this YouTube video because like I'm old fashioned and I watched like the old Elvis videos, and then he had like an entourage. They were called the Memphis Mafia.
Right.
And they were interviewing these guys. I guess Elvis had passed, and so and it didn't sound like any of these guys had any specific skill set. They were just kind of hanging around, and if there were women that wanted to see Elvis, somehow they'd have to make their way through the Memphis Mafia. So it was very, I don't know. I was like, these guys wouldn't have jobs if it wasn't for Elvis. Like, they have no skills. So
what were they doing? Who is the Memphis Mafia? That's their way of. They were basically just sifting through. Let's just call it activity for him.
Yeah,
curricular activity. But I mean, fortunately, the people I work with, none of them are like that. They're all. I mean, it's probably why I get along with them. They're all very family oriented, and they're all, career oriented, but with really good values. And it's probably why I'm very drawn to the people that I work with, and I have this loyalty to them because they're really interesting to be around, and they're
I assume you try to cultivate some self-sufficiency within them too, right?
100%. 100%. And it's because they need it. I mean, listen, you're not always going to be able to travel. It's just I've had really famous clients in the past that I've lost because I just can't get on a train and go 35 minutes uptown and then wait for them for an hour, for 10 minutes, and then train for an hour, and then another 35 minutes back down. And by then most of your morning's blown. It just doesn't. And some people would say, like, are you crazy? How could you ever lose? Like, how would you ever? No, it doesn't work for me. Like, it's not how I'm going to live my life. Like, I own my club. I took risk. I put a lot into my business. And, every day I just got a call about working with someone incredibly well-known today. And I let them know. I said, listen, I would love for this to work. I want you to know if for some reason, for scheduling reasons, this is not about me. This is about you, but it's my responsibility to offer you a solution and offer you something that you're really happy with. And I went through like expectations. I was like, listen, if we can make this work, I'm not always here. I've got a go-to person that I hand people to. And I just want to make sure that you're okay with that, because the last thing I want to do is say, yeah, come on in, let's do this, blah, blah, blah. And they're expecting me to be around 24/7. That's not the reality. I just can't do that. And if someone can't handle that, it's not what my position allows me to do. I can't agree to work with someone if with my lifestyle, if they can't accept. And then everyone I work with, everyone's great about it. How about you?
Yes. But nobody's ever said, like, Don, I'm flying to France, or I'm going here to do a movie. I need you for 2 months. Has anybody kind of put that on you?
No, I think a lot of them don't, because they know my family situation and they know my work situation. So yeah. If I was, if I was 28 or 29 and I didn't have, maybe newly married or not married and had a girlfriend, and yeah, it's different. It's a lot different. But I'm 40. I'm going to be 43 in April. I'm partners in about 5 different brands. My bread and butter is my club. Like, I got 2 kids. I'm married. I got dogs. I got all these things. I got stuff. Like, I just, I'm not going to pick up and I'm not going to fly somewhere if a production company's going to pay, I'm sorry to throw a number, but $5-10 grand a week. I'm not going to do it. It's not worth it. It's not. It's not. Would I travel for a number? Sure. It's going to be a number, though, and it's all supply and demand. Like, I'm probably one of the more higher paid coaches that people are going to, be able to even list. Is that something I'm proud of? No, it's just supply and demand. It's just, this is what my time is worth. I look at the monies I make from all these other projects and my club. And for someone for me wants me to come pick up and leave, I have to put a lot of that stuff on hold. And it's going to divert my attention to being able to grow those businesses. Which, yes, pay good money now, but I'm hoping to pay a lot of money down the road because I believe in them. So for me to be able to pull away from that, I've got to know. If someone asks me, how much would you go away for you to go away for a year, what would it cost? And I was to say $4 million, $5 million. No, and they're like, you're crazy. Why am I crazy? Why is that nuts?
Yeah.
You don't know what I have going on. What do you think? I'm charging $150 an hour? And I'm just sitting here waiting to accumulate. But no, it's not. Like, you want to pull me away from my family, my life, my kids. There is a value on that. So I'm not saying I wouldn't do it, but people also, I've heard some guys in the industry like, a trainer is not worth more than this. That's why you're a shitty business person. 100%. I can't mention the guy's name. I remember he's someone years ago. A trainer is not worth any more than this. I'm like, you are a moron. I'm not going to mention his name. The guy's a complete moron. It's supply and demand. So what's some guy on Wall Street, who's getting paid 30, 40 million bucks a year? Like, what makes him so special?
Yeah.
But there's no one else can do it. It's just supply and demand. It's like he's valued something to a specific company, and he works out a deal with that company. He's making that amount of money. Why is it like I'm dealing with someone's life here? I'm dealing with 400 members that are coming to this club, and they're relying upon us to take care of them and to become a solution for them. Why is that valued at $50 a session?
Yeah.
$100? It's not. It's not what I value it at. I don't know why I went off on that rant.
Well, I remember talking to Joel Jameson.
Yeah, what did he say?
And I think somebody had asked him to fly overseas to do something, and he didn't want to do it or whatever. So he just gave them a really high number for I think it was a month. And it might have been like $100,000 or $100 something, and he had a really good reason. He's like, well, I really don't want to travel to that place, right? I don't want to be away from, home and all that. But if they're willing to pay it, worst case scenario is I have to go and work and I get paid that, otherwise I enjoy being at home. Right.
Yeah. So, I think that's awesome. I think that's one of the nicest answers that I've heard.
Yeah. So, and there was I met a guy about 20 years ago in LA, and he was personal trainer for Kobe Bryant, and I think he's in Manhattan now working at a charter school, Joe Carbone, and I think he was the strength coach for the Lakers after that, I don't know, 2004 or something. So
right.
But I think when he was with Kobe, he would travel everywhere with him, and he got an annual salary, right, for that.
And listen, that's some guys can do that. I know guys now that are able to do that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
They're not married. They don't have kids. Single household. May not own a club. Can pick up. Absolutely. I mean, that would have been fun for me when I was, 25, 20. I mean, I got engaged at 27, 28. So,
yep.
I mean, but to say at 23, 24, I wouldn't have traveled with, a celebrity and experienced different countries and stay at great hotels. And are you nuts? Like, that would have been, it's like a paid vacation when they go on these things. Like, you're traveling really comfortably, you're staying in nice hotels, you're eating really good food, and you're just experiencing different cultures. I mean, I think it's like when a parent looks at their kid and goes, "Oh, we want you to study abroad," like, that's exactly what it would be like. But back then, when I was working, like, I didn't really build that type of book until I want to say 15 years ago.
Yeah.
2005. So I was already in the business since 99. So that was 6 years. So the time I would have done that, just kind of missed my window, but whatever. It is what it is.
Yeah.
I think Hugh Jackman 12 or 13 years ago asked me to travel with him, but it was around the time my wife was we were having our first baby. So obviously that didn't work. That didn't happen. But I remember, when he asked me, there was this, and I was obviously much younger, but there was this in my head where I knew, like, wow, this would have been a great opportunity. But I'm like, yeah, I just don't want to be away from home.
Did he ask you to go to Vancouver?
No.
Oh, okay.
I think it was Australia
Okay.
at that time. Vancouver, I would have said yes. But you travel. You travel. That's got to be tough too. I mean, you got a wife, you got children.
I mean, I'm trying not to as much, but certainly, I've traveled in my time. So yeah, same sort of thing as you is, if somebody wants me to travel, then you give them a high number, and that's the opportunity cost, right? So,
What I would even do sometimes if the trip's really short, I don't even like. I'm so loyal to the crew I work with. Like they always pay me. They will whatever, but I won't give a high number to them at all. I'm just like, give me whatever you want.
yeah,
Because no one new. If it's someone new contacting me, the
yeah,
answer
yeah,
is usually no. Or like there is an asinine number. But the people I work with, I've been working for 10 or 12 years. It's not about the money.
yeah.
They do so much for me outside of here that I just whatever it is, just cut me a check and call it even, and I leave it on them. They always take amazing care of me. So yeah, no, I have a different outlook on it. But every day I'll have someone reach out to me. Can you write a program? Can you do this? Can you do that? I just don't have time anymore, man. I just can't. Even my online clients, I'm working with one online client now. I mean, I do not have the bandwidth for one more person
Yeah.
because it's just too much. And for what you're going to charge these people, it's just not worth it. You gotta focus on other things. It's a good part to get to in your life.
But even some of your existing clients, do they ever say to you like, "Hey, Don, I'm working with so and so. They want to get on with you, and do you have to be very careful about overloading yourself?"
Oh well, I think they all know the deal at this point because all the 80%, 90% of the people I work with, which isn't a lot because I don't work with a lot of people, they work with other coaches of mine.
Yeah.
So, I got a husband and wife in Hollywood. They're phenomenal, and if I travel or I got something going on, they'll jump in with TJ or one of the other coaches, and that's awesome. So we're all clear with that. But again, that's an expectation that early on I kind of lay out.
Oh, okay. So they know that they might not always be with you, and
It's the first thing that I tell them if someone reach out to me today, super famous, and I just said that I'd love to. It's all scheduling permitting, and it all comes down to your comfort level, which basically means like I'm not telling them it's my way or the highway, but like this is all I can offer. And if that works for you, awesome. But if it doesn't, allow me to help you, get on the right footing. And I 10 out of 10 times I'll never leave anyone in the dust. But I've got 10 working here. I want to hand them off. I want them to get awesome.
But they're part of the same ecosystem.
Yeah, no, same training methodology. And everything now, we're just, trying to clean it up even more. And there's specific things in here over the last 15 years I'd like to do differently and putting a lot of thought into it. And it's exciting. I mean, Chris Wickus has moved on and Cody stepped in. Chris was amazing, but, you kind of getting a fresh start where, we're looking at Cody and I'm like, all right, well, let's think about doing a couple things differently here. And we're all, addressing those things. So I think that's fun. I think that's really, it's fun. It's almost like your 2.0 version. So D, what's on the horizon now for 2020? I mean,
I got to come visit you at some point, and then we got to go to Toronto at some point. So you and I got to meet up there, and then just figuring out again projects and trying to, which is kind of timely based on our discussion now, because now I have to figure out, okay, well, how do I spend my time? I don't want to overextend myself, and I'm a lot of the time the most stressful thing is what to watch on TV at night. Like I've got to go, okay, well, I got Netflix, I got Amazon, Disney, Apple TV. Like the one thing I wanted to ask you with all your time management challenges, like, do you feel that you have to watch your clients' content? Like you have to watch their show and stay so that no,
I just don't. I want to. I know Billy Crudup has been a client of mine for a long time, and he's on this new show. I think it's called The Morning Show, and I hear he's like incredible.
It does a good job, yeah, very good job.
I haven't seen an episode yet, and I'm pissed off about it. On the other hand, it is interesting to see them in. Like I just went to Blake and Ryan invite me to a lot of premieres. John Krasinski and Emily invite me to a lot of premieres. Sebastian Stan, a lot of premieres. So I'm normally always kind of seeing a movie when it comes out if the schedule allows me. So yeah, I just saw Blake in the Rhythm section. She was amazing. Um, One of the best performances I've seen her have. But you know, it starts piling up.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
There's big movies I've prepped people for that I still haven't seen, which I obviously feel shitty about, but it is what it is. I mean, there's only so much time in the day. And they don't ask. I mean, they very rarely ask, have you seen this? If they do, you're honest. You're like, no, but I got to watch it, and I'll go home and watch it. So, why? How about you? I mean, you're not in any different boat.
Well, certainly I'm watching a lot of sports. I was busy on Sunday. But yeah, no, yeah, well, I'll try to, if there is, the one fellow I work with, the movie star, will try to go to the movie and like, I'll, just sometimes I'll do stupid things like I'll take a picture of the ticket and I'll text it to him like, yeah, I saw the fucking movie. Okay. Right.
Yeah,
So
just let them know that you love
yeah, yeah. That money's going to you.
them.
So
Yeah,
I don't
amazing.
know. But yeah, certainly I'll try to, like you do your best.
You do your best.